teaching. People ask me, why do you know all this stuff about money? I offer lunch and learn at Viasat, and that went over so well. I was like, this is what I need to do. I need to go back and earn my CFP because this is what I'm passionate about and love doing. And so I did, went back. I got a scholarship for anybody military. The American College provides scholarships for military spouses, and veterans. That's actually windows open until August 15th. So I did that. I kind of burned through it as well. Took my time on the first course, then kind of burned through it. But and then I finished the 7 courses, and I had for the American College, you have to take an 8th course, and I had to still do that. It was March of the year I was, and but as soon as I passed the comprehensive course in March, I guess it was end of March, in April, when I was starting the final course. But CFP goes, hey, you can sign up for the exam, and I'm like, ooh, do I do this or do I wait? But we were already planning a trip to Portugal in the fall, and I'm like, no way, that would suck, trying to study. So I'm like, let me just strike while the iron's hot. But it was terrible. Like just Victoria, working and trying to balance it. I was working full time, and of course, for those that military, it was like, just you're about to go on deployment, something major breaks. That's what happened at my day job. There's like tons of, all hands on deck for weeks. Then we get a partial fix, and then we're working for months to do the long-term fix. So that's happening while I'm decide, oh, let's take the CFP exam in July. This is in April, I make that decision. I still have the final class to take, and then we're doing remodels, specifically my office in my house. So it was like burning the candle at 4 ends, and it was, and in May, I remember thinking, maybe I made a bad choice. But I put my head down, and to me, I was like, how do you spin all these and so what I did said, screw it, I'm going to go behind on Dalton. I just put all effort into knocking out the CHFC, that final class, got that done in like 2 weeks. And then I was about 2 weeks behind on Dalton, and put my head down and started working on that. And I was fortunate, I passed on the first try in July, but it wasn't without a hell of a lot of stress and pain, and trying to balance it out. But I guess now we'll kind of go into how I study and what, my study tactics. But as we've all kind of shared, there is no easy button for the CFP exam. This thing is a bear. It's 6 hours and 40 minutes. It's broken down for those that haven't taken it. It's like 4 exams. It's 170 questions, but it's really broken down into 4 individual exams. There's a 3-hour section. You've got 85 questions, which is broken down into 2 separate exams. 43 questions, you have to finish, submit, cannot return to them, then continue on with the other 42 questions, submit, then you get a 40-minute break, which is more like at most 25, but that's a chance to go grab a healthy snack, is what I'd say, and then get back in, because you got a wand and all that kind of stuff, to get back in to start the second half of the exam, which is another 85 questions broken down into 2 parts, 43 questions and 42 questions. And then if you pass, it's like very anticlimactic, shall we say. But the thing about, like Brian kind of shared, he was overconfident. He already passed his thing, and that's where what I learned in the military is in training. You see in Hollywood, it's a bunch of BS. You don't rise to the occasion. You fall to your level of preparation. So, and that's why we train and train and train in the military, and run these drills over and over again, because when shit hits the fan, you don't throw on a cape. You resort to your training. What do you already have ingrained in you? And so that's where I think studying for this exam, that base you get is from the hard work that you put in. So and the first thing, well, this might seem silly, but are you guys all, I use the HP 10BII plus. It's kind of a simple calculator, but are you guys all very comfortable with your calculator? If you're not, you have to get immediately comfortable. Do whatever you need, because while initially those math problems might seem hard, often for most people, after you've been doing enough of these things, those are actually more of the easy problems, because it's more of a set formula, like a system you walk through. And if you know what, just make sure your begin or end mode is correct, because they will have both of those answers on the exam. But those should be essentially easy. But you have to be a master of that calculator before you go. Secondly, like I said, I did the Dalton prep course, and it was the guarantee to pass, which you kind of had to guarantee you were already going to pass to get the guarantee, which is BS. But when they do the first coaching call, they explained it's expected to take 15 to 20 hours a week of study, and it has to be your highest priority. That's a lot when you think about that. Even if you took one day off a week, that's 3 hours a day of study. That's a lot to fit in. So Victoria, to your note, now you got to find out when am I going to have undistracted time that I can be focused and study. For me, that was 5 a.m. I got up early and I would go focus. If you have children, this is also a family affair. If you're married, your spouse has to know that if it's especially women where the men maybe not takes as much care of the children. Nope, they got to pick up the load, because it's a family affair, and it takes everybody's support to make sure anybody can pass. Okay, my overall approach to this, it sounds stupid, but might sound stupid, but it was humble confidence. I knew that if I didn't put in the hours and I didn't put in the time, I was going to fail. Like most people that just expected me to pass, I don't know. It was only my brother, I think, that really appreciated it, because he's known me all my life. But the reason I pass exams is because I put in the work. You know what I mean? And so the confidence portion was, look, I'm going to fail if I don't do the work. But if I do the hard work, then I'll have the knowledge and I can't pass. So that's where my confidence came in. That makes sense. That what humble confidence to me means. But I also, had a high level of anxiety. Let's see. Yeah, I already kind of explained kind of the things that was going on in my time. And but one of the things everybody has to understand, and Sebastian, having taken some different things, this is one of the things I was curious about with you. How do you learn? And this is where I kind of screwed up for me when I was studying, is I know how I learn, and I didn't do it that way. I tried to follow the Dalton approach, which if you look at their schedule, there's a ton of let me see if I can just find it real quick. Everything was reading this and this and and all this, like 50 pages of reading every morning before you did the videos and this and that. That's not how I freaking learn. Like my physics too, the calc-based physics in college, I didn't read a single page of the book. What I did, I go to class and I listen. Like I like people teaching me, and those videos, that's where I learn. Like I listen, and I'm like, okay, and then I test myself. And so, but I was taking so long reading this stuff that I didn't able to take as many of the practice exam questions as I would have liked to, because they say it's 2,500 exam questions in the Dalton bank, and the coaches tell you should do it twice. I probably got maybe 850 or so done, but because I'd spent too much time reading this stuff. What I should have done, knowing how I learned by listening to people teach me, and then testing myself. Did I get that? If I don't get it, okay, do I have to listen to it again? Or maybe then I'll go and I can go like look exactly into the reading, what I didn't understand. You know what I mean? Instead of trying to read 50 pages, which I'm a slow reader on that stuff, especially for comprehension, bam, I could go right, okay, now, and then maybe get it, test yourself again. That's how I learn and should have done, and probably would have saved me time. The other thing is don't forget to exercise. It's so key that because this is a huge amount of stress, and one of the best anxiety relievers, and it's going to make your brain work better anyway, is exercise. I changed the way I exercise to explain this when I was doing it. My cardio went from running, or like I used use the rowing machine a lot as well, but I don't run very well because my head bounces too much. So I went to walking on an incline on a treadmill, and I could sit there and rewatch. So on my, I could rewatch the videos, the classes and the office hours while I'm sitting there getting a workout in. And so, and my brain's working better. Like us humans are meant to be in motion. And so I think my study was actually even better while I was sitting there, walking up on an incline up on a treadmill. But I got my zone 2 workout in and still got study in it. So to me, it was just an effective use of that time. Some people are like, no, I need to break it apart. I think most people in the last month, that it's an effective way to do both. The big thing though is, and Victoria talking about this, about, let's say you have to be able to separate time from work, you have to be focused when you're studying. And that's why, for me, you got to find that time that's your alone time. You don't have other distractions, because it's not just 3 hours a day, it's focused time. And guess what? I get unfocused. So don't keep banging your head into the desk. You don't learn that way. If you can't get focused, step away and go do something else. Go get some exercise. Go do something to clear your mind, and then come back to it. Because if you're not focused, you're just wasting your time. So take it, to me, exercise is the quickest way to do something like that. But sometimes you just need, whether it's meditate or something. But all of us have times where you have trouble being focused, but you're not learning when you're focused. I had a friend in college who we were studying totally different degrees, and he didn't understand. He'd be like, you study like people take breaks, because I would take like a big long break and then I'd study, and he'd like sit there and try to study for 4 hours straight, and it was totally ineffective. I'm like, dude, when you don't learn by osmosis, by through the putting your head on the book. You need to be focused. If you're not, quit and go back to it. But that's where, so limited distractions, you got to find the time. For me, that time was 5 a.m. When it was just my time. So let's see, any other, okay, two. And okay, and speaking of anxiety, we'll go through a few things, the final 3 to 4 week battle rhythm, but you're going to have moments in the exam. So I took it the last day. Don't do that, because what if there would have been a power outage or something? That would have been sucked. But it was a Monday, the final day of the exam. But Saturday I was still kind of nervous. I was like kind of just flipping through some stuff. And then Sunday I was like, you know what, I think I got this. I was pretty confident. And then Monday morning driving in, you're nervous, but I'm like, nah, I got this. And then I had to flag the first 4 questions. Like, well, maybe this is gonna be a really long day. So what do? Take a breath. Like, that's it. Like, okay, I could have stressed myself out and be like, oh, I didn't prep enough. Nope, just go. Take a couple deep breaths. Like, I've got this. Like, it could have been the 4 hardest questions. Think of it that way, and then move on. Just don't spend too much time. Flag it and move on. And then unless you know you answered it wrong, don't change the answer. Typically, like I'm a big believer, gut instinct. What you felt was right is right, unless you absolutely can prove that it's wrong. Studies have shown that maybe not be true, but that's been the case for me with exams throughout my life. When I've changed it, I changed it to my own detriment. So and then we'll get into OneNote here in a bit of how I stay organized, and then Patrick will talk, notebook. But my last thing is the final 3 to 4 week battle rhythm of what I took. So that exam readiness review, we kind of talked about it. That's what Dalton has. That's their best, metric of whether you're ready to pass or not. And you had to score 70, which meant a 99% pass rate. If you're taking Dalton, definitely take that. It's only like a 5-day window that you've got to take that in, but that gives you your best indicator of if you're really ready at a month out. I would take the Dalton or whatever practice exam they have with you, whichever. Usually they provide like 2. I take both of those and take the CFP board also provides a free exam, which is typically a bit easier. It was easier than Dalton and likely more realistic to what you'll really see. But don't take any of these within a week of the exam because those are full on 6 hour exams. And so that destroys your brain. You know what I mean? And you need to recover from that. So don't take those a few weeks out, and that way that last week, all you're doing is final prep and making sure you're ready to go. The last coaching call I had, they said they looked at how many exam questions I'd taken. They're like, nope, it's absolutely critical you answer all these questions. I had like 3 weeks or whatever. I could sit there and try to spend all my days trying to answer these questions. And I could have maybe gotten a few more super hard questions correct. And I was like, you know what? Screw this. Like, what I'm going to do is what it would really, every question is worth the same amount. Sebastian, we were talking about that. It looks like there you are. So I would be totally pissed, and I can see this happening because it's done this before. But so instead of going in and studying those questions or answering those questions, I went through all the material again. And I listened to the office hours and the classes at 2 times speed, and I just burned through everything one more time, just to make that I had touched every single area. And if something came up, and I'm like, "Ooh, I'm not familiar with that." Then I do a little more study on that subject exactly. That way, I had touched everything within 3 to 4 weeks of taking the exam, so that I didn't have that question where I'm like, "Oh, this is so easy. I know it, but I haven't looked at it for 3 months." You know what I mean? So to me, that was a lot more effective. And I did probably answer a whole bunch more of the relatively easy questions I got right, which ultimately helped get to a passing grade. Um, let's see. Like I said, I put it in the car, wherever I was going. I started listening to live class in office hours on 2 times speed. I listen to podcasts like that in general. So, but 1.5, 2 times speed, that way you get through them quicker. Um, and like I said, I already told you about how I adjusted my cardio workouts. Oh, also, so Dalton recommends you study the ethics within 48 hours of the exam. Highly recommend that. Ethics sounds like it should be easy, right? It's just no. Those questions on the exam are super hard. So an in-depth look at the ethics, like they're talking about within 48 hours, is key. And that probably got me, I don't know, 7 questions correct that I probably would have missed because those were not surprisingly hard questions. So study the ethics within 48 hours of the actual exam. The another huge thing. This is a long exam. It's brain tiring. So the less you can think, if possible, the better. That means brain dump. Get a great brain dump. So I used the financial planning process. Uber. UIA, the whole financial planning process, because those questions are even hard because they use words that make you think it's step 3, but it's actually step 4, but they try to confuse you. So you got to really look at what the question, what they're saying, saying it is, not the specific words. But that was having that written down made me go, okay, every one of those questions come up, I'd go really, okay, what is each part of this process? The options 4-square chart, absolutely have that in. That probably saved me, 15 minutes because I never had to think. And that's one of those like options. Oh, okay, if I do nope. Yeah, the square. Yeah, exactly what each does. Bam. You didn't even have to think. You just answered it and you knew you got it right. The bond teeter totter, another one. That you just don't even have to think. So I think I saved probably 15, 20 questions. I didn't have to use any brain power because of the brain dump. And so right when you get in, dump it as much as you can. Along with that, I put the tax formula because that's kind of so what's above the line, what's below the line, those kind of things get confusing. So just writing those basics down helped me so when I'm 4 or 5 hours into it going, oh, I'm so tired. What the hell was that? I could just look at a reference quickly, not think, and answer the question. Let's see. Those were the key ones, and I can share those again. Dalton had recommended some in their office hours, but I can share those with you as well. But those at a minimum I thought were key. And then any other things that you think is tough for you, like that you have to think about hard, that you can simplify with a diagram or something that they teach, and that's something to throw down quickly. You're fresh, and then you don't have, then you save all that brain power for any questions there. Okay. Lastly, yeah.
Just a quick question. So you kind of mentioned the calculations. So during the externship, I think they had somebody that actually sits on the board of, I think the exam, like the guy actually helps like create the exams for the CFP exam. But he said, I don't know when you last took it, but he was talking specifically about focus less on the calculations because that's maybe 4 or 5 questions nowadays. I don't know whether anyone's seen that or maybe I just heard him wrong.
No, I would not do that at all because in my exam, and I took it November 25, I had like 45. I had every single calculation on that calc sheet.
Yep. No, yeah, I would say
I heard
don't.
there was 3 different exams, and it
Yes,
just depends.
there's 3
which-
different. Yep, it depends which one you get, and I got the quant heavy one. So if you go by because yes, there are some you only get 3 or 4, but if you don't get it and you end up a quant heavy one, those quants are easy if you've got your formulas down.
Yep.
And
If you've practiced them, bingo.
Yeah.
And those should be easy questions if you've practiced them. And so, that gets to be like, it's not really thinking much. You're just, okay, like I would always do with my calculator, I would always write, in order. And I, just like you have in the calculator, and write those numbers down, and then put everything down on the paper so that I couldn't screw it up, if that makes sense. And I would always go like not highlight, but end or begin mode. That's one of the big things you always could screw up. Yes, Robin.
So I have the same calculator as you do. When I first started the program, my mentor, who I was working with 8 years ago, he had given me the 12, which was super confusing for me.
That's reverse Polish notation.
Yeah.
So
so I have yours, which is easier, and I wasn't sure if that was going to affect me for the test.
Not at all.
But the thing about the calculations is I understand how to do those, but the sheet that they give us that we can use, that looks like a foreign language to me. Like that,
it is.
Totally. I don't understand it.
So,
and I'm not a math whiz, so.
Okay, so we'll
I mean, I'm good at math, but I have dyscalculia, so that's why it's odd that I'm in the industry, but I can write it down.
So on that, and Dalton even has like, what do those things mean? But you need to break that down because that formula sheet is freaking worthless. It's might as well, it's like Greek, it's some other foreign, Arabic, some foreign language. So you have to understand what those things are, and you have to have it already broken down and reviewed it on a somewhat a routine basis. That's also part of my, I don't think I got to it yet. Part of my 3 to 4 week battle plan. So I started looking at, here's the other thing. I'll get to that, Robin. But if you can, take the week off before the exam. I couldn't take the whole week off, but I took Wednesday afternoon on, and then I had the weekend, to study. But if you can just not have any other, speaking of minimizing distractions, no work stress, whatever, and you can just, take the time to be ready for the exam, do it. It's worth the PTO. So, or if you're maybe if you're on flexible time off, it doesn't count against you anyway. But that way, once again, minimizing distractions and just being able to put that final focus hours in. For studying, speaking of, Robin, those last 3 to 4 weeks, I took the quick sheets, which Dalton, if you got the guaranteed to pass, I'll show those on the OneNote. But it kind of, for all the different subjects, it kind of has summaries of all the key things. I would start looking at those, not every one each day, but I'd look at one, then look at another one the next day. And then I would also look at, and I have like a 3-ring binder, even though, I've still got OneNote, but I had all the quick notes in there. There's my schedule. Sorry, you can't see. Okay, you can't see it. But I had the Dalton schedule, which I lined off as I was doing it. Like I said, I shouldn't have read all that crap. But the CFP formula sheet, so if you can see here, dang it,
hold it back.
I can't take. It's on the back of the formula sheet. Dalton has it broken down into what everything is on this. Sorry, I'll show
That's
it on the
great because I
OneNote.
haven't seen that. I
Yeah,
couldn't
yeah.
find, so it's like you
So
can't really study it if you don't even know what
yeah,
everything
yeah,
is
you're like, this
anyway.
is freaking a foreign language. Like, and I'm a math geek.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and I was like, well, what the hell does this all mean? It's totally useless. But so knowing what looking at the cheat sheet version of that, what do those things mean is worthwhile. But then going through, so the CFP provides the tax tables, which Sebastian, you hit on this. Taking the practice exam or whatever is not the same as when you're sitting in there. And don't take it from home. Go to a study center. It's just not worth the additional stress of all the monitoring and other crap that you have to do. Don't take it at home. Take it at a test center. But the tax tables, I would much rather have this stuff in paper, but you don't. It's something you got to scroll through. So you get the tax tables, but I started looking through that every day, and not so much to memorize the numbers. You do see it, and I felt very comfortable with those numbers, even though they were given to you. But what was key is I knew exactly where they're at. That's page 5, and I could scroll right to the point when I'm taking that question, and I wanted to verify that number real quick. I go right to that, scroll right to the point on the, because you've just got the slider. Go, yep, check, that's numbers right, move on. You know what I mean? So, but having reviewed that on a regular basis made it, I knew exactly where to find it. Does that make sense? When I couldn't have it in a printed form. What else? I also went through Dalton Education provides like tax.
Alan?
Yes, go ahead.
Just a quick, if you are using the Dalton Education books, the thick big financial planning book, it actually has the step-by-step for the calculator for the HP10 in the main financial planning book. It's like, I think it's chapter 10. I don't have my books with me. I'm on vacation right now. So go in there. There is also a shortened version of just the calculator formulas. I put that, you can only get it on eBay that I know of. So I put that one that I used in there. And then there's another one that I stuck in the chat that I used, and it built up into the formulas. Because one of the things with the way they do these calculation questions is they don't do it in logical order. They don't start at step 1. They will start you in the middle. And you have to understand, especially the 2-steppers and 3-steppers, the college planning, those calculations, you have to know them from the middle to go back to the beginning or go forward to the end. And they weren't nice on the exam. So make sure that you understand how those work together and be very, very comfortable with your calculator. What I would suggest is take 5 of those calculations to do a day, and then just practice those, and then go through the next 5, and then go through the next 5 from now until November. So, and that's coming from a math geek.
I didn't use the books. I just used I didn't use the hard copy books like when I did any studying in general. But I did. So we'll get into it. But I used OneNote. But here's some of the calculator references that they have that were great for. But yeah, you just got to be comfortable with your calculator, whichever you use. 12C. That's great. Maybe down the road, Robin. As a practice, if you want to, but it's not for the exam. Just use the simple one. It's simple and easy. And
yeah, I understand how to use the calculator. That one's way easier than the 12. But no, I understand how to read the calculator. It's the formula sheet doesn't mirror the calculator. So
exactly. So I'm trying to think if it's crazy. Let me see if I can find that. I don't know. I had so many damn. Oh well, I'll get to it. But there was. Oh yeah, the Dalton prep course. Here it is. Okay, so here's like they have some things that talk about the explanations of these. See, yeah. Oh, that's really useful. That's useful. You see that? This is where it talks about what all these formulas mean. And how, and anyway, no, it's and some other stuff. I don't know why this has been a while, but okay. I'll go into OneNote in a second. Last thing, practice that brain dump at least, several weeks out. Flashcards, make them by yourself. It's proven that handwriting stuff is far better than typed or any other way. When you're studying, maybe you can't answer it right away, but if something comes up where you're like, I don't remember that, I don't know what the hell that is, then write it down, at least write down what it is, and then you can answer it later. You know what I mean? Like, get the answer later, but it's at least get it down. And then I wish I'd started those better earlier, but you'll start whittling those down. That's part of my 3 to 4. I'd have this big stack and I start going through them. And then as I got close to the exam, some I knew cold. So I just got rid of those. And I still even walked in. They say don't study right before the exam. I walked in with my note cards and was, I wasn't stressing myself out, but I was just taking a look. That's just how I've always done it. And people say that isn't effective. Well, you know what? I've been pretty effective in exams, and that worked for me. And guess what? When you take your break on the exam, you can actually go into the locker. You can't do it in between. You can't do it during the 3 hours when the exam's going. But you can, on the break when you can have food, you can go into your locker and you can go back and look at your note cards if you want or something. If you like, man, there's something I forgot, I needed to, I had forgotten, there might be another question on it. So you can take a quick look. That's something people don't know going in typically either. Case study problems. That's probably the most, and that varies how people answer those. What I did, because there's a couple of questions at the bottom and you have to go to the next page. And there's a couple of questions, there's like 3 or 4 pages that you have to do after reading this long ass thing. What I did was I would read like the first paragraph, just so I have basic understanding. Okay, it's a family with 2 kids, or what's their basic situation, and then scroll right to the bottom and search for the answers. Read the questions and then go search for them. For the answer. That's what I do, and I feel like it saved me time, because if I read that whole thing, I don't know what I'm looking for, and I'm not going to remember everything. So I got a fresh idea, a quick basic idea, went down and looked at the questions. I wouldn't spend too much time if I couldn't. See, when in doubt, see it out, whatever. Take your best guess, flag it, move on. And that way you don't take too much time, because there's like, 10 to 15 questions on that case study. It's a lot. So you got to move through, relatively, efficiently as you're going through. And that's what I found was the best way for me. Like I said earlier, dry run going to the center at the same time, same day as you will taking the exam. The last thing you need is you're stressing out and you're stuck in traffic and you're running late to the exam. Don't do that. So go in. I went into the test center and just got a feel for the whole thing. And I talked to them. They said, yeah, probably come about 30 minutes early because of the things. You can bring in a water bottle, a clear water bottle you can bring in, which I wouldn't have known that had I not went in. And you get a whole feel for the setup. That way, that's one less stress you have on the day, on game time. You know what I mean? So definitely do that. If out of town, like some people don't have a testing system, go to that town. Spend the money to stay in a hotel that night instead of driving for 2 hours, because you're not going to be ready to take an exam if you've been in the car for 2 hours. And so I would, we've done that with, my wife had some exams where we had to go. We just went down so we are fresh in the morning. Okay, cool. Any questions there? And I'll go in more into OneNote.
Yeah, quick question about I know I keep hearing that people say go after the easy ones first and then come back for the ones that you mark. Is there I assume there's a counter, there's a timer that you can see so that you don't lose track of how much time you're spending?
Yep. And there's 2 timers, right? There's one, because you've got to still do the little review at the end, which just takes a few minutes, but you got to account for that. But you have a countdown showing how much time you've got to take that exam. So especially since it's broken up into like 4 different exams, you got to be thinking about that when you're doing that first 43 questions. Am I leaving enough time? And some of those sections where the case study might be, that might be a longer time, more time consuming section, of 42 or 43 questions that you might want a little more time. So keep an eye on that. But you do have that counter constantly going. Okay.
Great.
Any
Thanks.
other questions? Okay. Okay, I'll kind of expand this out for right now. I wish I could expand this out. So I got how I learned about OneNote, which is a tool to organize my curriculum and my life in general. I was getting ready to start my MBA, and I was like, oh crap, I haven't been to school in years. How the hell am I going to stay organized? And so I was looking at all these different platforms. This was way before AI and everything. And I was like, I found OneNote, and it was like, wait, this is Microsoft Office, which is what I use. It's compatible with everything I already use with Word, Excel. Granted, it's better on a PC than a Mac because I do like the desktop version. So if you're a Mac user, it's still good, but it's not quite as, I think it's not as pretty, as friendly as it is on a PC. And I'm not surprised. Microsoft and Apple, they're Apple's so proprietary, so I don't mind Microsoft making them a little being a little proprietary themselves. But so what I found though is so, and we'll go through creating creating OneNote notebook. But the cool thing is like in OneNote, it's basically like having a notebook with dividers and and pages inside. So it's like a digital huge notebook, but it's better than a digital notebook because you can have multi-section dividers, etc. So what you do here, like right here, you see these are sections. This was the USC. This was my MBA. So I've got the MBA. It's on my. It syncs with your iPad, your phone, everything. So you have it everywhere you go. But I do most of my work on the on the laptop, and then convert it over. But okay, so these are the different sections for this notebook here, for different different things. And when I was doing one of the great things I learned was, you see, these are sections, but all these little black ones, these are section groups. So our MBA had like 3 to 4 classes in one semester. And so they were themes. So like here, example, theme 3, there was, well, I was doing an admin section, marketing, leadership, and organizational management, finance, management, accounting. And then I had our own study group stuff. Those were the sections inside that multi-section group. And then for like leadership and organizational management, here's all the pages. And you can break these down to pages and sub-pages as nerdy and organized as you want to get. But like here, I would have the lectures. So we'd get soft copies of the lectures, and I would print them to OneNote. So just right here, you see this is just a printout of the slide deck the professor provided. And then I would take, you could take whatever you could write on, like an iPad, or I had a Microsoft Surface when I was doing this. Now I've just got an iPad in my laptop. But you can write notes right onto the OneNote. And it was beautiful because that's how you learn much better, is taking notes that way. So let me see if I'll go here. 2, 3. Okay, I'll go here to the admin page. But so sorry, my handwriting's terrible. Everybody see that? So I would that's when I would listen to the classes. I'd be typically, if I could, I'd be at my desk on the laptop, but I would have the iPad out taking notes as they're going through the lecture. So you're ingraining that more in, much better than if you're typing notes or what have you. And that's how I would do during in situ. I would do that. And then you can, of course, you can erase stuff, draw, erase. Okay. But you have everything right there here. So I use the same thing when I went to CFP study. Here's all the classes I took for Dalton, or not Dalton, for the for each. What the heck? Okay, those people. So I had every single class I have all the material for every single class. Here's like income taxation. So I had the keynotes. Here's the keynotes, everything. I've got the entire curriculum there. And I would highlight things that were important. Came to studying for the exam, I had everything just right there. All I did was, like here, I'll just cut and paste right into OneNote, and I'll show you how to do that. But then I'd take the quizzes. That's always, like I said, quizzes. I'd always go and review the quizzes then beforehand. But I'd take the quiz and then I'd go and copy and paste it all in here so that I had it, not just sitting in the, I had it for future reference to go back to, because especially problems that you miss, those are the ones they actually remember better, but you can go, see everything right here. Let's see here. Okay. And I'll go into, here's a Dalton prep course. I'll go specifically in that, but I had every single class in there. And then the Dalton prep course. So we had all the different sections, and I wrote like how many questions that were on the exam, like retirement savings and income planning, 18. The 18 was how many questions were on the exam. But these, I had just all the lectures they provided, and you could, like I said, you could take notes. Here were the key things though, were their classes, like the office hours. And these were recordings as well. So, but I would just print to OneNote, and then take notes directly on them when I didn't, as I'm going through it. And then I could go back. That's the formula sheet Robin is showing with notes. Duration. I remember that was one duration was always confusing to me. It's just not a intuitive subject, I don't think. But I think it was the fourth office.
They say that duration's like one of the more difficult ones. I just read over that one a couple days ago.
Yep. Oh yeah, I already did this. This from a previous time. I guess I can erase these notes too. But I mean, that's the beauty. You're seeing stuff, and you can change color on this stuff. So like when you're doing like, okay, depreciation recapture, like what portion of, is this? So I'd have a different color for what portion is depreciation recapture, what portion is this is just regular capital gains, all that kind of crap, So it was just really useful. Oh, here's another, like, this is cool. So you can also, I'll go insert, move, like when these you print these slides to OneNote, right? And they're right on top of each other. Like, wait, I want to take some more notes. So you can sit here and you can add space. Why am I not seeing it? Oh, there we go. It's right there. Sorry, I'm just blind. But see, let's say you want to write some more space in here. You see how that I just moved that down? And now you have more space that you could write notes that you want. Oh, that was too much space. So let's go back and I'll get rid of that space. Move it up here. And then wait, sometimes you'll find that what you wrote gets in the way. So you can go, you know what? Whoa, sorry, I don't know what happened there. Okay. So you can lasso what you wrote too and go, try that again. Oh, I don't like it there. Let me move it up. Ah, dang it. I'm sorry, I'm a failure. But you can sit here and move this wherever you want. Whoops, turn around, move it down. Whoops, I don't mean to resize it. Come on, there we go. But you can move it here, like it's in the way of your, like there's just so much you can do. That's very nice. I'll just delete that anyway. Okay, let's see. Okay, now I'm just gonna quickly create a notebook so you guys can see how that goes. Okay, so we'll go File, New, and let's go, whoops, exam webinar. We'll just call it create notebook. You could instantly, it'll pull up. Come on. Create the notebook. I think okay, you can immediately share it with people. You know what I mean? So you could go in here and send people's email addresses and add them, and then they can share them. And Always check though, because it could be editable or viewable. So make people's viewable unless you want people to mess with your notebook potentially. You can always go back to previous versions, but we'll go not now. Okay, so now you see I've got this new CFP exam webinar that just opened up, and it gives you a new section 1, and then this tab where you just click for more sections, new section 2, and then pages over here. What I like though, what I mentioned is multi-section groups. So when up here on the top, you just click a right click and say new section group, and I'll just call that section group 1. Okay, and then you click on that, and all of a sudden there's nothing there, but now you can put as many sections as you want in here. Let's say section group 1, section 1. Okay, and you can do another one. SG1, section 2. Yeah, and then, but now you go in here, you've got these, you always have one untitled page, but you can say page 1, title it. Okay. Challenge with typing today. And then, but you can make sub pages here. And so you can right click where it says untitled there. I'm sorry, it won't expand that, but you can make it a sub page. Right click, sub page 1. And then you can do another one. You can make that a sub page, or you, like I did the right click, you can also just move it over like that. Sub page 2. And I mean, you can go as thorough as you want. I don't go into, I guess, yeah, I have had sub pages. I mean, but you can just pull that one, make that sub page, and you can just fill this up with however you want. Now, getting material in here, like I said, you've got what I'll do. I'll just print something real quick so you see. Okay, you guys see that Microsoft Word file? So I'll just put this in, right? I'll actually put it in page 1. Okay, we'll go File, come on, Print. And instead of the printer, go to Print to OneNote. And I'm just doing something simple so that it prints quickly, because otherwise the files might take a while. It pulls up here, it says, hey, where do you want to put it? Like in all, your sections, your books. And I'm like, okay, let's go. You could go current section or current page. Actually, I'll go to current section, and then it'll create a new page right there. Okay, click OK. Voila, there's the printout. See that? And slow me down. I just know I'm trying to be precious of your time because we're already going into this, but you title it however you want. Okay, makes sense. Other cool things you can do. Let's go. Okay, I'll just go here. Okay, so you can print your stuff, print things right from the browser to OneNote. You can just go, like I said, Control P, print. Nope, not to the printer. Go to OneNote. Print. Bam. Say, let's go same current section. New page pops up with the printout. You can also, wait, I just want to, here's a cool thing. I do this with when you're getting recordings, like currently taking TPCP and like RCP, there's a bunch of videos. And I'm like, wait, there's a lot of good information they're providing, like all the words come up. So I'll just sit there and snapshot. I'll show you quickly there. But like here's, I'll go, sorry, I'm just starting a new class there. But like TPCP 10, okay, here's all the different units. Okay, so we're talking restricted stock units. Okay, see, these are the videos. See, I'll just look at these were as the video's going on. I'd sit here and go like this, watch, snap, print screen. Okay, mark your. Okay, now I'm just going to put that at the bottom of this. Control V, bam. You guys see that? And so I would do that with the videos because then I have all the material, all the discussion right there. I'd already listened to it, but now I've got, oh yeah, let me, and you have to expand the size. Sorry, some of this was, just where it's readable, but this is like, okay, as I'm reviewing this stuff, I can just go, okay, what's that 83B? How do you use that? And when can you? Bam, here's the whole video in snapshot form. Did it take a little longer to walk through the video? Hell yeah. Like, did it save me time? Probably in reality. And then I have this forever. It's just easy, Another thing you can do, I'm going to snap, let me go back to our fake, okay, you can, I use Chrome, Google Chrome. You also can use, those, what the hell's the word for it? It's a OneNote clip, those different little tools you can have at the top of your browser. This is a OneNote clipper. I'll just, sorry, I'm missing the words. What? Note clipper, Chrome. Oh, Chrome extensions, Chrome extensions. So this Chrome extension, though, you can take and say, okay, I want to print that full page I was looking at, or I could do just a region where you can go to that specific. Sorry, I went away from that page. Go back, click on that. And then you could do an article. You could just do the article if they got too many pictures, and it'll just streamline and print that. So we'll just do that and go clip. You can go, nope, not compliance. See if it even found my new notebook. I don't think it's seeing it yet. Yeah, I think it was a little too quick to find it, but I'll just put it in. I'll just put in CFP exam study, admin, sure, clip, and then that'll pop up that article in OneNote, and then you can do whatever you want with it. So that was up here, CFP. It takes a second. Voila, there's the printout, just the article. So you get rid of all the ads and crap like that. It's okay. I'll slow down. Let's see other things. Snapshots, like I said, okay. I have workouts, recipes. Like I use this for everything. Do you get like you guys go shopping, right? For groceries. You buy pretty much the same stuff over and over. Not every time, but right, same freaking list, same stuff you get, right? So in my home stuff folder, I've got all sorts of things. I've got menus, places where we go for takeout or whatever, and I have like some my wife's gluten allergy, so if they didn't describe what it was, I'd figure it out and circle it so I could go back later. Let's see. Oh, here, let's go to shopping lists. Like you see people going to the paper, like in the store, or they forget things because they don't come with the list. Like we go to the same places all the time. Like I do a lot of barbecue, so I've just got a running checklist. Like, okay, I'm gonna do what am I gonna do? Okay, I'm gonna do my bean dip and brisket, and my coleslaw, which I have a separate thing. So I just go check. What do I have? Uncheck. I go in with my phone. I've got a running shopping list. Trader Joe's, we go there a lot. Here's kind of standard stuff we get there. Here's just regular groceries. Costco, we go all the time as well. So I've got all the stuff that we go. And then as we run out of things, I just uncheck it. And the shopping list is ready. I don't have to think about it when it's time to go. Diet and exercise, like this, I have all these workouts. Like this is the rowing. Here's all the different sections you have for different workouts you want to do. I mean, it's like your whole life can be organized in here. Like this is a book I'm going to be working on. But that's where I've been doing all my as when I don't have time to do it all right now, at least I can start jotting down and getting the chronology and kind of the outline already going. Anything else? Okay, I'll turn it over. Taking snapshots, print to OneNote, writing notes with pen. Okay, lasso to move text. I know we went through a lot quickly there. What questions do you have? Because I want to make sure, I know I was going kind of quickly, but I want to make sure you got it. And then also turn it over to Patrick to talk notebook, as well as another tool. I use Claude a lot as well, and I create quizzes that I can do. It's really more for after the fact. Actually, most of my study is with OneNote typically, and then I would, if I had used Notebook, I think would be great because I love audio stuff too, like podcasts. But I use this when I'm prepping for whatever. I use Claude and all that for building stuff that I want to use later, and for my own CE, like, okay, tax planning certified professional, retirement income certified professional. Those are two, after military qualified financial planner, were certs that I felt I could add the most value and wanted to learn. So those are my next next certifications. That's what I use: the videos, study this, and the quizzes. So Sebastian, are you asking us something, or you're on mute, Ben? He's talking to somebody else. So
hang on one second.
Yeah. Anybody have any questions, or
No,
you want
just
me to go back through something?
Talking
Yeah.
with somebody here about the exam and just different study methods. Sorry.
Yeah. No. I just want to make sure we weren't missing what you. So what do you guys, any questions? Want me to go back, show something that we didn't? Oh, I got another one. Like, that's, speaking of recipes, what do you guys like to eat? Jenny, go give me something.
Well, considering this is what I'm making this weekend, caramelized onions and bacon brown sugar sauce over barbecue chicken thighs.
Okay, how about caramelized onions? Chicken thighs? How about thigh recipe? Okay, I didn't add the bacon stuff yet, but
I don't know if there's recipes. I created mine.
Yeah, but I mean, this is where, like, I just go in and go, okay, let's see here. Oh, 4.9. Oh, this one's got 4.9 and 30. Let's check this one out. And here's the cool thing, like, all these now have like jump to recipe, so you can jump to recipe. You can just print, once again, just like I was printing using the clipper. You can print. No, I don't want to subscribe to news. Damn it. Okay, this is a worse. Oh, well, after the fact, but now you print. I don't want to subscribe to a newsletter just to print somebody's fake or somebody's recipe. Print to OneNote. I go down. Home stuff for me. Whoops. Recipes. I have that multi-section group. And that's the poultry. So I put that in. Okay. Voila, we'll go there. Look, now I've got that recipe. And then I go to the kitchen. I've got my iPad. That's what I use. I'll change the recipes however I want because I always make them my own. And then I make some killer coleslaw that I usually don't like anywhere else. And I'm like, nope, too much mayo. So I lined out how I make it. And now I've got my own Allen's coleslaw, which is better than Terry's. But there's so much you can do, you know what I mean, and stay organized for your entire life, along with all the curriculum. Okay, cool. Hey, Patrick, you mind sharing about Notebook, and then
Sure.
any other?
Yeah, it was Lawrence, right, that was
Yeah, Notion.
talking about it earlier.
Yeah. Do you want to share?
I can actually share, yeah.
Yep, perfect.
So yeah, like he was saying, it actually did, I forgot to change names. I think it's Gemini LM now. You guys can see this, right? So I have like the pro one, but you can totally do this with the free one. I think it just limits like the number of things you can make per day. Basically, you can, on the left side here, you can feed in like your own sources. By the way, like, I don't know if Alan said it, on OneNote, you can print out your notes. So you can print that to a PDF. And honestly, for a CFP exam, that's probably what I would do, is put it put your actual things that are useful for the exam in here. I like they were saying earlier, I'm pretty much an audio only person, so I haven't used like most of these other things in the studio session. I really just stick to the audio kind of formats, but basically any of these things you could make stuff with AI. And so you can, like he was saying, this default one is like two AI kind of people talking back and forth about the subject. You can kind of give it a prompt in here even. So I pulled up this example because this is the only one I knew. I put in like a ton of like reports on the years. This is like, I don't know if you guys know Next Gen Personal Finance, but the ones doing the financial education for high schools. And so they have like their reports on every year. And I don't want to go and read all the reports, but I kind of want to know like the information and stuff. So I think what I said in here is just a very simple prompt, like bring me up to speed on how we got here, but focus on 2026. You can do all sorts of things when you're actually making it, like tell it what to focus on and everything. So I just think, what Alan went through for the OneNote is really great for the organization. And he and other people talked about it earlier, is on like how you absorb and actually learn information is pretty personal. And so I do think this is kind of good for, taking that organization and turning it really like making it your own, basically. And for me, that would have been like, I wish I had this before. Like this was not around when I, took the test in the form that it is now, but you can even change the length at least a little bit here. So this one is on the default one, and it's like about 20 minutes. But most of the time right now, I'm using these short ones, and these are like 5 minutes. It does take a little bit to make. I don't know how long it takes to generate. Probably my guess is the video one is going to be the longest, just naturally. But the audio one, that takes, I don't know, somewhere in the 5 to 10 minute range. Right now, I mean, if I go back to all my things, well, right now I'm doing a lot of Kitsis kind of stuff. So I'm not gonna read through, some of those articles if you guys know what those are. But I am willing to listen to, at least know if I want to go read more. I would not use this as like how to learn. I would do what, Alan was saying basically on, that's all your main things. And this is more of like an after kind of thing. I did want to mention a couple other things here. I put it in earlier. I don't think Jackie's keeping it updated now. She did the audio kind of list a couple years ago, and maybe I have to go back to her. And then I don't want to take more time up here, but heard a lot of career changer kind of stuff. If you Google, or sorry, LinkedIn for my last name, I can also help you with this kind of stuff. FBA does a lot of stuff for helping people get started, whether it's career changers, whether it's students. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff that we can send your way if you need like career kind of stuff, but I don't want to talk too much more about that because we're on exam for today. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. And to me, it's like Brian, we've talked about the CFP, the designation is important, but it's the knowledge that to me is what matters. And if you're only going for the alphabet after your name, then that's not the point of it. The point of it is that we can better serve our clients by being knowledgeable. You know what I mean? And so, and that's like, anyway, okay, what else? Oh, you can also, just like Patrick, you reminded me of this, you can also, along with sharing, you can immediately send these pages to anybody by email or share the books, but you can go, okay, like I used to have meetings, doing meetings with project planning or what have you, and I'd immediately send the minutes out like within 5 minutes. People were like stunned, like holy crap, because I just do the minutes on the fly during the exam, during the meeting, and then I could immediately email out to the group whatever it is that I wanted. Like, okay, any other questions, thoughts?
Oh, one thing I forgot to say was on the ethics and just like CFP, if you're still getting a handle on like exam format and that kind of stuff, CFP board, like both their website and YouTube are really good for like that kind of thing. The ethics thing, I remember people talking about that earlier today. If you just kind of need to get a handle on, you know, the case studies and what, like the style, I think, and that can really inform, you know, the expectations there, or at least get you down to a 50-50.
Exactly. And on the exam, I would highlight like keywords, like, because they try to confuse you with the wording to make you think they're asking something they're not. So you can highlight those wordings to make sure you're like ants. In the Navy, it'd be in a nuke. It'd be like when you would answer a question and get it wrong, the instructors would often write ATQ or ATFQ. Answer the effing question in ATRQ, which is more what you'll see on the CFP. Answer the right question, or right question, wrong or right answer, wrong question. That's what the CFP exam is much like. So immediately knock off those two. There's two that are probably easy to throw away, and then there's two that might be no. Do that you're like, okay, which one's the better choice? That's what makes the CFP exam so challenging, because there's a lot of questions. There's multiple right answers. It's which was the best right answer. So, okay. Anything else? I know we went way long, and I'm gonna post this recording. I'll cut out all of our intro stuff, and then it should just show whoever's faces, like when we're sharing, whoever's presenting. But it want to make sure you guys are all good with that. But I'll cut out that first like 45 minutes where we just shared about who we were, but that way people can. Okay. Thanks, Clarence. And then the last little bit. What else? Any other questions? Give you guys any, I know we kind of went over quite a bit of things, but, and if you have questions, reach out. Happy to, if I can help in any way, let me know.